Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Laura Prada from the Telesur Studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. A peaceful demonstration by migrants on the border between Mexico and the United States ended in violence on Sunday. The U.S. Border Patrol fired tear gas and, according to some reports, rubber bullets, as some of the demonstrators got past Mexican security forces and approached the San Isidro crossing. Women and children were seen trying to escape from the gas. The outgoing Mexican government now says it will deport the migrants involved.
We were all together, and they started throwing tear gas, and they hit a journalist in the head.
We were walking and telling the US border officers not to throw tear gas at us because we weren't doing anything, and they started throwing bombs at us. All the police and cameramen were there.
We went near the border in a peaceful march, and the American officers got upset because we were too close to the border. The alarm went off, and they began throwing tear gas at us. A lot of people started to go down. A person got hit, and lots of kids fainted. So some people got rocks and threw it at the officers because many kids were fainting. We just took them to the doctor, and now we are coming back, and there's still tear gas. I don't know what happened just now.
The Mexican and the U.S. authorities later said they had restored control and reopened the border crossing. Earlier, traffic in both directions had been suspended between San Diego and Tijuana. The shutdown came 3 days after President Donald Trump threatened to close the entire border with Mexico. These images show migrants running from the tear gas at the border crossing, and among the migrants could be seen families with young children. President Donald Trump also said last week that he had authorized the U.S. military to use lethal force against the migrants if necessary. Meanwhile, the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, Christian Nielsen, has supported the closure of the border due to the, quote, large number of immigrants who wanted to enter the country. According to Nielsen, some migrants broke the security fence established on the Mexican side by security forces and threw projectiles. Other members of the Central American caravan are in Tijuana waiting word on their asylum requests. Many migrants want to cross despite the xenophobic and anti-immigrant policies in the U.S. Donald Trump has tried to prevent them from entering the country and said that migrants who enter illegally from Mexico will not be allowed to apply for asylum. This despite the fact that the judge temporarily suspended this order.
We are desperate, waiting for a positive response. We hope that the authorities can come to an agreement. It is not our intention to dismiss Mexican people. Our hope is to receive news for Christmas. Good news for my family back in Honduras.
Sunday, November 25th, marked the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And in Quito, more than 10,000 people marched to raise awareness about the different forms of violence Ecuadorian women face on a daily basis. People of all ages and backgrounds gathered to protest against domestic violence, sexual abuse, and harassment against women. At the time, they demanded equal rights in the workplace.
We are here to resist because the government continues to be negligent with our lives, with our vulnerabilities. There are more than 1 million people missing. For the government, it doesn't matter that women are dying. The justice system does nothing, and sexual abuse keeps happening, which is just simply outrageous. This march is our way to say that we are fed up, and we are a community fighting for our justice together, a feminist justice.
In Dominican Republic, the date for the elimination of violence against women was also embraced. In the capital, Santo Domingo, women gathered to protest against all kinds of violence. The commemorative date was first set to honor the 3 Mirabal sisters who were murdered by the Trujillo dictatorship. Women from all over the world take to the streets every 25th of November to raise social awareness about gender violence. In Colombia, citizens have broken Guinness record to support women's rights. More than 4,000 Colombians lit glowing sticks in the country's capital, Bogota. This in support of women's rights and against gender violence. The organizers said Colombia supports peace and the end of all kinds of violence, in a special reference to the country's decades of armed conflict.
It is a very important recognition because we just signed for peace, and I think the whole world is looking at Colombia to see if we can achieve it. And this is a way of saying we Colombians are really against violence against women and of course that we want peace.
I am more than just a man. I am also a partner and a son. I would not like to see any kind of violence towards the people that I love, towards women.
And in Turkey, clashes erupted during the national march opposing violence against women. Police reportedly fired tear gas at protesters after blocking their path with shields and ordering crowds to disperse. The protesters responded by yelling, "We will not be silent and we are not afraid." The tense standoff lasted for 2 hours. A dozen of couples danced in the Italian capital Rome to celebrate this International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Female dancers were wearing red shoes, a worldwide symbol against feminicide, but also the symbol of the female tango dance. They said they want those shoes to be used only for dancing. They added that tango is a dance that symbolizes peace. Time for a first break hearing from the South, but you can find us on Twitter at Telesur English and my personal account, Laura P. Telesur. We are back.
With developing events being presented through analysis. Our coverage transcends borders. With renowned journalist Walter Martinez.
Salud amigos, tripulantes de nuestra querida, contaminada y única nave espacial.
Dossier. Weekdays. Only on Telesur.
Y ponga usted las cámaras, señor director.
The Pakistani journalist Tariq Ali examines the mass media influence promoted by imperialism. Get access to the analysis of the socio-economic and political life of the whole South America on our screen and platform in English. A critical place committed to the truth to determine the major events that transform the world today. Mondays. Only on Telesur.
And we are back. Over 900,000 Mexicans have participated in a public consultation promoted by the President-elect Andrés Manuel López Obrador. This second consultation asked citizens for their opinion on 10 different issues, among them the Mayan train and several social programs. Around 1,100 polling centers were set up across the country. The results will be made public this Monday. And in Cuba, this November 25th marked the 2 years since the death of the Cuban revolutionary leader Fidel Castro. President Miguel Díaz-Canel headed the commemorations that took place across Cuba. Latin American leaders also took the day to remember Fidel. At the Cuban capital, Díaz-Canel attended a political cultural gala in which hundreds of young students remembered the leader of the Cuban Revolution. Under the slogan, Always Fidel, the commemoration took place at the University of Havana, where the younger generations took part in a remembrance at the achievements and legacy of Fidel. Various artists also participated in the event that was full of music and dance. Ronald Hidalgo, member of the Communist Youth, expressed his thoughts 2 years after Fidel's passing.
Nothing will be able to extinguish his flame. Our enemies will have to live with the fact that they never defeated him. Fidel is necessary. His reports against imperialism, fighting for the humble of our country.
Now we move to Brazil, where a group of congressmen are promoting an alliance of social movement to support social rights. This as a way to counter threats made by President-elect Jair Bolsonaro.
Brazilian congressmen and politicians have met with activists from the landless workers movement to offer their support against Jair Bolsonaro's threat to treat social movements as terrorists.
The upcoming government is threatening not only the social rights of Brazilian people that took so many years to achieve, but also it threats with political persecution, so left-wing parties and social movements are potential enemies. This solidarity is not only for parties and movements, but also to build a democratic front against the new policies of the upcoming government.
The front also wants authorities to face a reality marked by the country's housing deficit, estimated in 6 million houses, and the concentration of 45% of the land in just 1% of the landowners.
This will be a neo-fascist government, but ultra-liberal. This means it's going to sell all public companies. This won't benefit people nor will give solution to social problems. The opposite. We're going to have many social problems as we already have, in health, in education, and workers' rights that probably won't be solved by this government. And for that reason is that we need to continue to fight in the streets.
During the meeting, leftist leaders analyzed measures to resist the new situation by the elected government.
Bolsonaro's government works over society by symbols. Meanwhile, the classic fascism seeks for the eternal enemy. The neo-fascism seeks to choose some enemies. In Brazil's case, the internal enemies are those who are not part of what they call the Brazilian nation. So they promote bad image against the landless and homeless movements.
Bolsonaro will take office on January 1st, but social movements are already afraid congressmen will take their seats 1 month after.
Now we go to Jamaica, where Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Sir Hilary Beckles, has reported that the University of Glasgow in the United Kingdom has agreed to pay the equivalent of £200 million in reparation payments. He says that the University of Glasgow has recognized that Jamaican slaves owners had adopted University of Glasgow as their university of choice, and that £200 million of value were extracted from Jamaica and the Caribbean. He also said that the University of Glasgow and the University of the West Indies are currently drafting a memorandum of understanding, and the term reparatory justice is expected to be included. Women in Guatemala are rejecting the government's discrimination against midwives by the state health system. More in this story.
Women have strongly criticized the case of a midwife who was forced to resign by a state health worker.
She says she was forced to sign a document stating that she won't assist in any childbirth. So I think it's the state's health system that keeps violating our rights as midwives.
The midwife in question is 78 years old, Maria Diego, who has more than 35 years of experience in the town of Ixcan.
No child I helped deliver has died. If I had any deaths on my hands, then I would have understood her behavior. But I have delivered thousands and thousands of children. Many of them are adults now.
The discriminated midwife says she was forced to resign because her work doesn't comply with the Western guidelines of the state's health system. But the Office of the Health System rejects this statement.
Midwives are important members of the health system because they are assisting nurses or doctors. They bring their patients to the hospital and inform the staff about their condition.
Midwives say this is just the latest of such incidents against their work. There are about 23,000 midwives working across the country, and they face a growing number of obstacles.
If we assist a home birth, the nurses write up a report to make us responsible for any complications like the death of the mother or the newborn. If anything happens, they send us to jail.
In May 2017, midwives also faced a setback from President Jimmy Morales when he abolished the National Day for the Dignity of Midwives held on May 19th.
The president of Uruguay is carefully studying an asylum request made by former Peruvian President Alan Garcia, who is accused of allegedly taking bribes from the Brazilian construction company Odebrecht.
We've gotten all the information necessary from the Peruvian government, including details of the investigation against him. We've also received the letters Mr. Garcia has written to me. We're studying all documents and will act according to the Caracas Treaty. We will take as much time as needed. There's never a due date set for receiving a political asylum seeker.
Now we take a second break hearing from the South, but stay with us with more stories.
Ah, monsieur, il vous a rien fait.
Ah, violence, dis donc,
Et les doigts là. Ah.
The ruling world order has always subjugated the masses. But who are the actors behind every move? What are their real interests? We analyze every move on Critical Move. Weekdays, only on Telesur. Our actions have an impact on the environment. It's our responsibility to change for the sake of our planet. Let's be part of this transition. Watch, preserve, and protect your Green Zone. Wednesdays, only on Telesur.
And we are back. 4 soldiers have been killed in Turkey when a military helicopter crashed in a residential area in Istanbul. The helicopter was on a training flight when it crashed. Causes are not yet known. A Turkish soldier was wounded in the accident. Medical services are at the site and the defense minister is expected to visit the scene. while an investigation is underway. The United Arab Emirates has pardoned a British researcher who was sentenced to life in prison for spying. The 31-year-old researcher was sentenced to life in prison last week. He has now been pardoned along with 700 other prisoners as part of a National Amnesty Day. According to an official statement, he will leave the country once formalities are completed. The celebrated Italian filmmaker Bernardo Bertolucci has died in Rome. The director of Last Tango in Paris and The Last Emperor passed away at the age of 77 after a short illness. The winner of 2 Oscars, Bertolucci is considered one of the greatest Italian film directors. Leaders of the European Union have approved a historic deal for the United Kingdom on leaving the bloc. Now, all that is left for the Prime Minister, Theresa May, is to have the deal approved by the House of Commons before the deadline for Brexit in March 2019.
It's a day where we are satisfied with the result, but it's a very sad day to see a country like the United Kingdom find its place separate from others. Leave the European Union, it's not a cause for champagne, nor applaud. It's a sad day.
At least 30 people have drowned in Uganda and more than 60 are feared dead after a party boat sank in Lake Victoria. Authorities say the boat carrying nearly 100 passengers sank most likely due to overloading and bad weather. This is just the latest deadly incident in Africa's largest lake. In September 2018, hundreds of people died after a ferry sank on the Tanzanian side of the lake. The high number of fatalities is often due to a shortage of life jackets and the fact that many locals cannot swim. In Argentina, Copa Libertadores final match between Boca Juniors and River Plate was suspended after a game on Sunday, following the violent acts that took place on Saturday. The security operation headed by the Ministry of Security and the City of Buenos Aires was criticized as being a massive failure when there is less than a week before the city hosts the G20 summit. Several players were injured by broken glass and stones thrown by fans, while police fired tear gas at fans, which also affected a team bus. According to the CONMEBOL, the president of the organization decided to postpone the final match in order to preserve the fairness of the sport. A final date will be decided on Tuesday. At least 21 people have been killed and 180 injured in flash floods in northern Iraq. Roads were inundated and vehicles were stuck in the mud. Thousands of people had to flee their homes. The flooding came after 2 days of heavy rainfall in the region. In Somalia, 15 people have been killed at a Sufi shrine. 10 others were also wounded when members of the Al-Shabaab group attacked the religious temple. The attackers burst into the center with a vehicle loaded with explosives and then shot at people inside. The attacks was apparently aimed at Sufi cleric. African musicians have gathered in Ghana's capital, Accra, to attend the All Africa Music Awards, Africa's equivalent of the Grammys. Nigeria's Davido won the trophy for Artist of the Year, while Betty Yee from Ethiopia took home Album of the Year. Best African DJ went to Afrotronics, who has roots in Chad. The awards are aimed at being a platform to showcase the African music industry.
I'm happy to be here because I feel that this is Africa coming together, you know, an event like this with such amount of superstars, so I'm very thrilled.
I'm sure it's gonna change many things for me or for other winners to spread African music in all over the world, because we all know that Africa is the mother of the groove, the beat, of the sound.
Like this, with this musical touch, we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net, where you can find more news, opinion articles, and special interviews. And for our viewers in Africa, remember, you can find us on StarSat channel 461 in South Africa and channel 531 in Nigeria. Until next time, thank you for watching.